Hello, good evening, and welcome to tonight's live training on business plans. So, before I get started, it's only going to be a short video tonight because I haven't really advertised it. It's the first video of 2022, so Happy New Year to everyone. And it's probably a great time to talk about business planning because it is the first week of the year. So, the the simple matter is that most garage owners don't have a business plan. Now, a little while back, I ran a survey, and I found out that 8 out of 10 garage owners didn't have a business plan, which surprised me somewhat because I thought more would have because they'd have been forced to do it because they'd have got applied for finance or some other kind of funding at some point, which would have required them to have a business plan. So it wasn't surprising. Out of the 2 out of 10 that did have a business plan, a lot of them had been forced to write a business plan for whatever reason. And it wasn't really done out of choice. It wasn't done out of a sort of a desire to improve their business. It was done for other reasons. So why are business plans so sort of low priority for garage owners? Whereas if you look at other businesses and other business successful business people, but planning their business seems to be quite a big thing. So what happens if you don't have a plan? That's the first question. Well, you're probably going to get similar results to the previous year. That's that's common sense, really, isn't it? You know, if you don't plan to change anything, nothing probably will change. So you'll end up doing the same as last year. And that's great if last year was brilliant for you and you're going to get a similar result to that. However, it doesn't allow for changes. It doesn't allow for planning ahead for what is going to be, I believe, quite a quite a sort of a period of intense change in our industry in the next 5 to 10 years. What we'll be working on will change radically, and we need to have an idea of how we're gonna deal with this change, whatever that change is. So that requires an element of planning. Whether you like it or not, change is coming. If you're not ready for that change when it happens, it's quite easy to become reactive rather than proactive in your business and how you deal with change. So there's a reason for having a plan. So what is a plan? Well, plans in the way I look at business plan, and we'll have a look at my method of doing this as we go through the video. Is a plan for me is a 1 year plan. That's what I call the plan, the business plan. It's a 1 year plan where we set targets for the year. And even if you have no idea what it is that's going to go in your business plan, you probably have two targets for the year. One is going to be the amount of turnover in the business, and the other one is going to be the profit from that turnover. And even if they are the only two things that you put on your business plan, they are probably the two most important things. So even if they're the only two numbers you have written down, they're probably the two that everybody writes down. And what that does is it sets the challenge for you. It sets the challenge for you, and the challenge is, how are you going to achieve those two numbers? How are you going to get that level of turnover, and how are you going to make that profit? And generally, what people do is they set a number for the turnover, and quite often they basically look at it and say, right, I want to make a profit on 10% on that turnover, or 20% on that turnover, or they might have a number in mind, but it's usually a percentage of turnover. And then you've set yourself a challenge of how to achieve them. And to do that, to achieve those numbers, you're going to have to then break that target down. And you break that target down into how many sales that is in a year, maybe, or how many what the turnover is per day or per week or per month or per quarter. You will break that target down, and that's basically the essence of the business plan. So the the thing I'm going to discuss now is how do you get a business plan onto a piece of paper from if you've never done a business plan before. So how do you set your 1 year targets? Well, it's not easy, and that's probably why most people don't do it. Now, the first thing you have is you have to have the end in mind. So you need to know where you're going. So what I call the vision is the end point of your business. Now, that can seem really far away for some people. So I kind of break this down into a 10-year vision. So how far away can we think? It is difficult to imagine what's going to happen in 10 years' time. But you might have an idea of what you want from your business in 10 years. And that's what the vision becomes. It's the, if you like, the best version of your business. And you kind of have an idea of what that is, and you make concrete steps in terms of writing that down. What do you want your business to do in terms of what's it going to provide for you? What's it look like? And you can continue to sort of make this picture a little bit more vivid. Colouring it in is what I call it, colouring in the vision as you get more determined, or you have a better idea of what you need to achieve by the 10-year point. So then you take your 10-year vision and you break that into what I call goals, which are, I like 3-year goals. So you break the 10 years into three-year planning cycles with a spare year. Another way to do it is to break it into 2 5-year periods. But the 3-year planning cycle I prefer, because it gives you that 1 year of flexibility where you can basically say, you know what, this year didn't go so well. Something unusual happened, like the COVID pandemic, something like that, where you say, you know what, I've had to stop and pivot and restart or whatever, and I'm going to miss this year off my 3-year planning cycle, and I'm going to start again next year. But you only get 1 year to do that with, so it's not like you can have a bad year every year and still achieve your 10-year vision. It just doesn't work like that. So you go from your 10-year vision, you set your 3-year goals. And your 3-year goals are the first point that you start really to thinking about what kind of numbers you want your business to be doing. Your 10-year vision may be a number. However, the 3-year planning cycles set that down. And I suggest in the first 3-year planning cycle, you achieve around about 20% of your 10-year vision. And then the second 3-year planning cycle, you achieve about 30% of your 10-year vision, which leaves in the third planning cycle about 50% of that total vision that you have, because it takes time and you build momentum over time once you start planning for your business. So you take your 3-year goals and you look at them. And so if this is the first year of a 3-year cycle, you look at your 3-year goals and you do something similar with that. You can either break them into thirds and say, I'm going to achieve a third of my 3-year target in 1 year, or you do 20, 30, 50. And if it's the first time you've experienced planning, I would suggest you do the latter. You do the 20, 30, 50. So each year, the first year you plan to achieve 20% of your 3-year cycle, and then in the second you're going to achieve 30%, and then in the third year you're going to achieve 50% of that 3-year target. Now, it sounds confusing, but once you've written these numbers down, or you have an idea of what that vision is, it doesn't have to be numerical, it doesn't have to be turnover and profit, but most people start there. You have an idea of what you need to achieve in that first year, and that's what you do. And you write that down, and then what that does is it sets 2 targets if you do turnover and profit, and then the next 4 to maybe 6 or 7 items on your list is going to be simply what you need to do to achieve that. And you just make a list of it, and that becomes your business plan for the year. So what are the 3 great reasons for having a business plan? Well, the first why for having a business plan is it causes you to focus on your business. And then it causes you to focus on something in your business which is going to achieve your 3-year plan, which then means you'll achieve your 10-year vision. So it's the point at which you start to focus on stuff in your business that maybe isn't going as well, or stuff in your business that is going well and you want to do more of it. But you don't know any of that unless you start to analyze your business. So that causes us to think more strategically, which is the second reason why having a business plan is a great idea, because you can't have a strategy for achieving anything if you don't know what it is you're trying to achieve. Now, it sounds obvious, but most garage owners that I speak to don't know what it is they're trying to achieve. Their idea of a successful year in business is still being open, is is being able to pay the staff, is being able to pay the mortgage or the rent and the rates, and paying all the bills every month, and continue trading. That's what defines a successful year for them. But that doesn't get you to your end purpose of the reason why you're in business. So whether we like it or not, unless we're a charity, the reason we're in business is to make money. And if we're not making money, what we need is a plan to make money. And that's where the business plan comes in. So it forces us to think more strategically. Now, I'm going to do a live training session on some ideas around strategic thinking based on golf, strangely enough, but that's coming in the future. So the third reason having a business plan makes sense is it forces you to set out some metrics that you're going to measure. And whatever those metrics that you come up with are going to be the metrics that enable you to hit your numbers. And when you set a metric, you have to measure it. If you're measuring something, you manage it. And if you know you're falling short, you take steps to improve your business, to improve that metric, to hit your target. Now, they're the three main reasons for having a business plan. Is it creates focus, it allows you to think strategically about your business, and it provides you with metrics that will be measured and therefore managed within the business. And they're the three key things for the reason why you want to have a business plan. It's not because they're trendy. It's not because you want to achieve finance. It's because having a business plan will force you to consider your business in a different way. It will give you focus. It will allow you to think strategically, and it will provide you with the metrics you need to measure. Now, when you're thinking about the next 12 months, it's dead easy to sort of underestimate what you can do in a year. Very, very easy. But what most people do is they overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate how much they can do in a year. That's the typical trend. So you want to set a goal that's fairly stretched. And that comes back from your vision. And if your vision isn't a big enough vision, then your 3-year cycling plans won't be big enough goals. And therefore, when it comes down to your plan, the objectives you set won't be big enough. So the objectives are what you write down in your business plan. So the first, as I said before, the first two are probably going to be turnover and profit. And then what you're going to put down, there'll be other things you need to achieve for your business to become the success that you want it to be. Things that you'll have in your 3-year goals that you want to be able to achieve. And there'll be objectives. And that's how you set the objective. So you have your business plan, and basically, for most people, the first two things they put down there, as I keep saying, is turnover and profit. And then they set themselves their objectives. And that is all it is. However, writing that down every year means the chances of you achieving it go up sort of tenfold. Because if you don't know what you need to achieve, there's absolutely no chance of you achieving it. If you write down a list of stretch goals or objectives that you want to achieve within the next 12 months, and let's say you write 10 down and you achieve 7 of them, that's a pretty good year from a year before where you didn't write any down and you didn't really have any kind of way of measuring your success other than the door stayed open or you struggle to pay your bills. So that's my sort of take on the business plan, the 1-year business plan. It is basically a way of breaking your larger goals down into what you're going to achieve in the next 12 months based on your vision, your 3-year planning cycles, and then you write down what you're going to achieve in 1 year and break that down into a series of objectives which need to be set. Hopefully this has been useful. If not, write in the comments. If you've got any topics you'd like me to cover, write them in the comments as well. There will be a transcript of this and a little quiz in the group at some point over the next week. And hopefully I'll see you guys at some point during the year when we're allowed out again in Wales. If not, Happy New Year to everyone, and I hope it's a good one.